Good morning, Thursday morning here. We looking this week at Galatians chapter 6, verses 1 and 2. We looked at who's addressed to. We looked at the action that was taken. Yesterday we looked at some of the unbiblical, ungodly reactions. Remember, we were glad of the downfall. We gossiped at it. We gloried in their downfall, but also in our own selves. Let's look at the biblical response today, shall we? Galatians chapter 6, verse number 1. Ye which are spiritual. Now, gives a responsibility to those who are not carnal, those who are mature, spiritual, who are walking in the Spirit. Remember, chapter 5, if you read that, he talks about that. So the ones who have a desire to see something better take place than that fleshly reaction. So ye which are spiritual, walking in the Spirit. Now we can fake that, absolutely. We can pretend, we can put on a facade, but time will take, and our actions will reveal what's in the heart, right? So those who are walking in the Spirit, those who are spiritual, now the next word is restore. The word restore gives us the idea of to bring back to. Now, it's not, we can't change the heart, but God has given instruction to the church especially, how that person can be brought back from that fall, that sin, that transgression, that fault, and see them restored back to a relationship with Christ. Sometimes we need help apart from ourselves. Sometimes we need people to help us through those steps. So here in this, as we look at restore such an one, okay? Now, that's the responsibility that we are to have. That is what we are to do. Now, do we sweep it under the carpet? No, absolutely not, right? We don't just hide it. But at the same token, this is not someone that we set up as an example for all to see. This is what, this person has done. Now, if it's a private thing, more of a private indiscretion or a sin, we handle it in such a fashion. If it's a big public thing, well, obviously there's going to have to be an equal responsibility to that, right? Public figure in a big stage, if I could say that, right? Now, the purpose here we see in what we are to do, ye which are spiritual, the idea is that we are to see them restored, okay, to brought back. Now, I enjoy watching restorations, more so of vehicles than homes, although they can have a phenomenal thing, but I can't see the end result of a house. My wife is great with that. She can walk into a house that's, kind of empty and, with a person and just say, hey, we could do this. And can't you picture it? No, not really, right? But I can do that with an old truck, right? You see an old truck, saw one last week sitting up on blocks, no box on it, a bit rusty, and looking at it like, oh, I could just picture how it could look, right? Could God do this restoration all on his own without the help of any human intervention? Absolutely. He could just fix that in a moment's notice. But he chooses to use us in other people's lives. And I want us to take a look at that part of that. So we which are spiritual, you which are spiritual. Now there's a reason for that. Again, as we saw, the wrong reaction that can happen so quickly, the gossip and so on. These are people who are spiritual, who have proven themselves to be followers of Christ, who've proven themselves to be walking in the Spirit, who have the desire to see people walking in the Spirit and not rejoicing over another person's sin or fault and so on. Restore such an one. That old vehicle, that old house, that dilapidated house, and a person goes in to restore, what do? Man, they start taking away the stuff. Maybe the exterior is just at a place of beyond repair. So they remove the exterior. And some houses they bring right back to, if I could say, the bones of the house, the skeletal structure of the house. They take it all away. And it looks like, what are they doing? But they got to make sure that all the issues are addressed. So they get right down to the bones of the house. Make sure everything is good. And then they start redressing the house, right? When they're done, you see the before and after, like, wow, what a transformation. Now, it doesn't happen just in one day, except for in cartoons. But in real life, it takes time, it takes effort, it takes work, it takes patience. So we can't expect someone to turn around in a moment's notice. That song, God's Still Working on Me to make me what I ought to be. It took him a week to make the moon and stars, sun and earth and Jupiter and Mars. Thanks for joining me today. We'll see you tomorrow.